Recording in progress.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the May edition of Keeping Up with Tech. Our typical format will be open forum, and then we can go into some of the topics that I had sent out in a previous email for things that we could discuss tonight. That being said, who'd like to open up the floor with the first question of the evening? Anybody? Donna and Joe, if you don't know how, there's the ability to raise your hand in the bottom.
I know how, dear. I just don't have a question. I don't think you can answer me. I have Starlink. I'm in a motorhome, but we didn't set it up to be electrified on the road. In other words, we don't have it plugging into our cigarette lighter. And that was our mistake. And I don't know how I'm going to fix that. I don't think you guys can fix it either. So that's my issue at the moment.
Your Starlink
is on the roof of my motorhome.
Okay, and you don't have 12-volt voltage going?
It's not the way it's set up. It's not running while we're on the road, not plugged into electric. We have to be plugged into electric.
I see.
If we had thought about it, we would have had it work off the cigarette lighter like a trucker, but we didn't have it installed that way.
So you need to have like an inverter going when you're doing this.
Well, we have the inverter keeping the refrigerator going.
Okay.
And I have a residential, so it takes all that juice to keep that running, pretty much. So
I wonder if you could use something like a solar charger or solar battery that has a 110 outlet on that.
I don't know.
Well, they call them solar, but they call them solar batteries, but they're actually just like AGM batteries or lithium batteries. They're in a carrier and they have outlets, 110 outlets.
Right. We have a Jayco that does that. We have solar panels that'll power up that Jayco.
Okay.
So, but this thing is already plugged in. It's hardwired into the motorhome. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how we can get it to the cigarette lighter.
Well, that's okay. But this is intriguing. How long is this? Donna, I really like this. So
it's that's not computer. It doesn't relate to anyone else. So.
No, but it doesn't have to be computers. You're using technology here, and none of us here have done what you're doing. So I'm applauding this.
Okay, but I have another option. Here's the other option. at&t, which is not the best cell service, has a modem. And it's cheaper to take that everywhere you go, so long as it's an area at&t can get service.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is where we go motorhoming, many times is not where at&t is going to have service. So, but that's a much more reasonable option.
Can I ask where you're at right now? I mean, what state?
I'm in Oregon.
In Oregon. Okay.
And I'm on the coast where my cell signal is pretty. Only 2 bars, so it's not real great. I mean, I have Xfinity Mobile. So anyway, here. But so I have great service with Starlink though.
And the Starlink, are you using the mini one or the full size?
No, we went with we didn't want to be running cords out. It rains a lot where we live.
Okay.
So anyway, we had it installed and it's permanently on our roof.
And so how well does that work for you even in bad weather?
We haven't had the weather be a problem yet. The problem is if we camp under a bunch of trees where it can't see the sky. That's the problem. But if we can be under open sky in any way, it works. But no one, go on to other issues.
Honestly, you've got a subject here, Donna, believe it or not, you're on a subject that none of us have ever done before. So I'm loving this because I've been wondering myself how well this works for people that are camping and need to take their technology on the road.
Right.
You have a solution here, the Starlink. Do you mind sharing what the budget is for that on a monthly basis?
Sure, it's $165.
165?
Yeah. And then when you don't like in the winter, you go to storage
Okay,
down.
and you turn it off.
So you can shut it off
You
for
can
five
go into a
dollars a month.
vacation mode, right?
What?
You can go into a vacation mode with Starlink, right?
Right. Yes. So then you carry it for $5, and then when you're ready to go again, you pop it up for 30 days or how many months. But it's working beautifully. Where before, when we were dealing with cellular service, it was so spotty that it was terrible.
I think you're onto something there because when I've been traveling with my camper and going places and relying on my cellular for a hotspot, it could be very dicey depending upon where you're at, and especially if you go out west, you'll get nothing.
Well, there are places even my cell phones don't work. So, but the other part is if I had the generator on, I could run Starlink, with the generator. It's just that we're not running the generator. We're plugged into electric. We're in campgrounds where we pay a fee. But if we were boondocking like we did in Quartzsite, when we turned the generator on, we could turn on Starlink and catch up the email or whatever we have to do. And then I guess the battery's charged to run on the battery. So
how long were you at Quartzsite?
We boondocked 5 days.
5 days?
And then we went to Yuma and moved on from Yuma to Casa Grande to Tucson and then back to California to Desert Hot Springs and then home. So we were gone 3 months and I still haven't caught up home.
Do you have a Class A?
Huh?
You have a Class A?
Yes.
Okay. Very
so
nice.
We lived in it, and the reason we could live in it has.
We lost you, Donna. We have a drop out there. There you are.
Okay, did I lose you or you lose me?
We lost you. You were saying the reason
Oh, the reason we survived was we had 2 bathrooms. That's the solution.
And you run your PCs through the Starlink and able to get online like you're doing right now, correct?
Gave away theater tickets, symphony tickets, and all this to be gone. And I missed it. I missed that culture.
Okay.
So we'll see.
How long have you been using the Starlink system?
We just got it activated and started using it 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
and
recent.
we had a dumb TV. We have 2 dumb TVs and 1 smart TV. We have 3 TVs in this thing. 1 outside, 2 inside. The inside ones were dumb, so we had to get Fire Sticks so we can get them smart to then add, like we have Prime or Netflix or whatever. So if you have dumb TVs, you got to get something to make them smart.
Right.
And then it was easy. We have there's a password that you put in when you just do the HDMI connection. So.
Are you full timers?
No, we have a home.
Okay.
A big garden. I have to get home and take care of it. I go work very hard to go away again.
What state is home in?
Washington.
In Washington. Okay.
Anyway,
Donna, you've been very informative on this. We really appreciate this.
I can't believe that. Anyway,
please believe that
other people spend less money and they use like the portable modem that T-Mobile or even Verizon has these portable ones. But again, if you don't have cell signal, it won't do you any good.
Correct.
So that's the big issue. Not all these campgrounds. You're in the mountains, or you're not going to have signals.
And most campgrounds don't provide you with any internet either.
Well, their Wi-Fi is public. I would never use their Wi-Fi anyway.
Right.
So I wouldn't use a campground's Wi-Fi. So cellular at least is safe. It's just that your signal is so bad that you can't count. And I got so frustrated that I couldn't get on. I couldn't do anything when it wouldn't work. So That's why we went ahead and bit the bullet and got this, because it works.
Well, thank you. How many devices can you hook up to that?
Well, right now I have two iPads hooked up, but we're all on. My phone's on, my husband's phone's on, and two iPads are on.
Did you ever do a speed test?
No, I haven't had a problem.
Okay.
So
It'd be curious to do a speed test. So,
I haven't played with it that way.
yeah.
I'm just happy everything works when I want it to.
So,
I mean,
so are we.
that's the solution. It's just I
Okay.
only have like 19% power on this iPad, so it's plugged in. And that might have been why I faded. I've got it plugged in to charge, but it's a little bit slow at the moment.
Mhm.
Anyway, move on to something else.
We
I've
will.
talked enough.
Anyone else want to have a question for Donna? Okay, shall we move on to a new topic, a new question from the group?
Well, I had a little project going on last few days. Pretty easy one. My 11th gen NUC, I had only a 250 gigabyte internal drive, and it turns out for Windows 11, especially if you're going to store any data on there, that's really a bit small. It doesn't provide enough over provisioning, and the drive was beginning to show signs of wear. So I upgraded. My first thing that went really nicely was normally these days a 1 terabyte really nice really nice SSD like WD Black. Most of the retail stores around my area are selling them for about $260, which is way up from just a few months ago. But Amazon had their own fulfilled by Amazon. Same thing, WD Black, same model. And I think it's a 7100. But anyway, that SSD was only 150 through Amazon, free shipping. So that was nice. I also had some City Card double points, but that's a different matter. So
What brand did you buy?
WD,
Western Digital.
Western Digital and SanDisk are now the same company. SanDisk makes the NAND flash. WD brands the drives and supplies the firmware and the utilities. So transferring the Windows 11 installation to the new drive. I had I actually bought an enclosure so that it could hold the old drive, but instead I put the new drive in there and hooked it up to the NUC, and I went through my various utilities and thought, which ones am I not going to have to pay for in order to copy the Windows system partition? That eliminated Minitool, that eliminated, I think, Easius, because those are paid upgrades. Aomi could probably have done it, but instead I used Macrim Reflect. I pay for it, so why not get some use out of it? And it took the Windows partition, system partition, and copied it. So I copied everything that came before Windows on the drive. I copied the Windows partition, but then I wanted to expand it a bit so that it would take advantage of the much larger drive. To do the expansion, you could do it through Macrim Reflect, but it's complicated. So there I used Minitool, because even though Minitool won't copy the partition for free, it will allow you to expand the Windows partition for free. So I expanded it. Then I copied the additional partitions to follow the Windows partition and then follow each other. Macrim Reflect was willing to do that perfectly fine. I didn't have to make any backups of it in order to do this. I just simply directly cloned. So Macrim Reflect paid 10 does cloning. One side note on Macrim Reflect 8, you can no longer run it from within Windows because its driver at the kernel level just got blacklisted. So if you want something that will do backup from within Windows 10 or 11, you will want to switch to a different product. However, the rescue media, I believe, still can be created and still will work. That's a different environment. But anyway, I thought it was kind of neat that between these various tools that I've got, I was able to clone and also expand my Windows setup. And then I set up a second partition because I still had space left over. And I still had about 15-20% for over provisioning. There are WD SSD utilities which you can download. And it's similar to Samsung Magician, only it's specific to WD SanDisk. And it immediately updated the firmware. That was the first thing it wanted to do. So now I have up-to-date firmware, and the drive is working very nicely. I had to take the NUC apart and switch the drives. And so now I have a perfectly good drive with Windows 11 as it was. I think before I did that, I had already done all my updates and done all my backups. You do want to do backups before you try anything like this. So that was my thing that I did.
Have you
I
run
upgraded.
ScanDisk since you've done this procedure?
Yeah. Scanning the disk. Whenever I do an operation like this, I check the new partitions to make sure that everything is exactly as it's supposed to be according to the Windows tools. And I only trust the Windows tools. I don't trust third-party disk checks. So, yeah, it's just fine. And it shows all its smart data and everything, and it shows all the characteristics. I did a few tests on it, performance tests. This thing is speedy. My old SSD, even though it was WD Blue, that is an M.2, and it's a PCIe 3. But the 11th gen NUC is capable of doing PCI 4x4, and the WD Black is 4x4. That accounts for a lot of the speed. And it does not generate a lot of heat in normal use. So
didn't you set up a dual boot on this NUC?
on this NUC, what I have is through a Thunderbolt port, I have hooked up Linux on an external enclosure. That's the other guys. That's Samsung Evo. And that's Thunderbolt 3. Linux has some things going on these days with protecting you against certain kinds of USB attacks. And if you employ all those Linux lockdowns, you can't really use a Thunderbolt dock on this NUC with the safeguards in Linux because the devices switch in sort of a token ring, I think it is, on a dock or a hub, and this confuses the Linux security tool. But other than that, everything seems to work out pretty well. Thunderbolt is not the most stable driver in Linux. So there are occasional errors that result from that. Nevertheless, I am able to do all the functions I need to, scanning, backup, that sort of thing. So yes, I do both Windows and Linux on that computer, but the Linux does not live internally.
What are you going to do with your old drive?
I'm just simply setting it aside. If anything happens, I can always retrieve whatever was on there. Mostly it's just a question of whether or not there's anything left on there that I want to pull off of it. Otherwise, it's just a spare. And it's a spare that has a significant amount of wear on it.
Now that was a 256 gig?
250 gigabyte.
250 gig, and you upgraded to how big?
1 terabyte.
A terabyte, okay.
And Windows is living in about maybe half that. It's living in less than half that. It's living in about 370 gigabytes. And so for Windows 11, that seems to be okay now. But I did find out that my Windows recovery environment had become unavailable, and Windows Defender Offline didn't do its scan. It wouldn't launch. So I had to rebuild that. That's a PowerShell operation. Excuse me. So yeah, I did have to do a slight. Oh, that's the other thing. It's not enough to check the file system. You have to check Windows to make sure the system files are okay if you copy the partition. That's SFC scan now, DISM, restore health. And that's where I found out there's another PowerShell command that checks to see if your Windows recovery environment is intact. Mine wasn't. So I downloaded the ISO, mounted it, which in Windows 11 is no big deal, and copied over the WinRE WIM, which is a Windows image file, to the correct spot inside of Windows. And then it worked.
Did you have to install that or make it do it itself?
The ISO can be treated as an archive using 7-zip, which for some reason I never installed on that NUC until now. But 7-zip is a useful utility. You should all have it.
Yeah.
And it will just simply extract from the ISO the necessary Windows image file. And then it's just a matter of copy paste. So you extract it to some place from which you could copy it. I wouldn't extract it directly into where it's supposed to end up, because that's a place deep inside the Windows system, and you don't want to risk messing that up.
So is this a file you downloaded from Microsoft, like the Media Creation Tool?
Yeah, Media
the
Creation
ISO?
Tool, I download the ISO.
And you download the ISO from Microsoft for
Yeah.
Windows 11.
Yeah, Windows 11 25H2. And then from there, it's just a matter of knowing through online searching or AI assistant just exactly where this WIM lives, where this Windows image file lives. And that's how you get your Windows recovery environment restored if anything messes it up. This is different from the recovery partition. That's a whole different animal. This is the recovery. Basically, it's the onboard recovery tools within the Windows system partition. And it's what allows tools like Windows Defender Offline to work. So that was the only thing I really had to fix.
That's recovery media?
You use the Windows install media. It's the, what do they call it? Media Creation Tool, MCT. Media Creation Tool. And you have to scroll down a little bit and say, I want to download the ISO to put on another machine. And it will ask you a few questions. What region are you, etc., what language? And 64 bits, which is all that's offered. So then you just download it. And if you have a fast internet connection, that's pretty quick. Basically, if Macrim Reflect is going to create a recovery environment, it must also download a Windows image file. And that usually happens during installation. And this is true of anything that's going to create a recovery environment. Whether it's WinRE, well, it's usually WinRE or WinPE. Those are the recovery environments for Windows. And that's the basis of everything that Macrim Reflect does on that USB stick. Although you can create a Linux version of it, but it has fewer features.
Thank you, Bob. Did you have a lot of screws you had to go take out of that thing to open that unit up?
4. You just take the screws out of the feet. It's only the size of a couple of decks of cards.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Okay.
So it's not like my laptop, my framework laptop, which has maybe about 16 screws.
Yeah, my Nova is like that too. It's just a lot of screws to take out just to get to access to the hard drive.
It's a lot of screws, but then on the framework you gain access to the entire insides.
True.
And you can replace everything on that framework laptop, including the motherboard. And you can replace the keyboard if it gets out of whack. The only thing I don't know how to replace on that thing is the screen. And I would like to do something about the webcam on that laptop because it's just crap.
Just put a different and put it above it, I guess.
I'm thinking maybe there's a software solution. Maybe SplitCam can help by make it look better, or just use one of the use a USB port and an external camera.
Now, that's not what you're using right now.
No, this is my tower, and this is a USB webcam. It's a Logitech 920, C920.
Nice and crisp.
Yeah, well, that's because of SplitCam. SplitCam is a utility that creates a virtual webcam driver. You use a virtual webcam driver, and under Windows, the virtual webcam capabilities in Windows 11 Pro is built in. In Linux, you have to add a driver. But in any event, SplitCam for Windows will allow you to do adjustments to your color distribution. It will allow you to put more color in or less color into yourself and make a lot of other adjustments, including zooming in or zooming out. And if your camera allows it, pan, tilt, etc. So it's a good little tweaking tool, and then it feeds into Zoom as a virtual webcam. So that's SplitCam. Yeah, that guy.
More with SplitCam.
It's only available for Apple and Windows. Linux has different tools.
Okay.
So there are many other things you can do with it. You can do live streaming. You can do gaming with Discord and things like that. There's a lot of things I've not even looked into.
Does it enhance your video quality?
It doesn't. It can artificially enhance what appears to be the resolution. It can sharpen video, and it can unsharpen if you need to. It can blur, and it's got lots of backgrounds you can put in, but Zoom has enough backgrounds already. So there's a lot of things you can do. It has filters that are already pre-built. And I've been talking about SplitCam off and on throughout, maybe the last year or so at these meetings.
Yes, you have.
So it's a nice little utility. But the nice thing about upgrading that NUC SSD was that it was actually so easy. I expected it to be more difficult and maybe have a couple of failures. But no, nothing failed.
So when you said when you went through the process, the drives first didn't come out to the right size when you were going to clone it. So you had to use Minitool to make the drive the sizes you wanted. Did you do that first before you cloned?
No. What I did was cloning is direct copying
Yes.
of a partition. Now, Macrame Reflect is intelligent enough to copy to a different location on the new drive. I think if you do some extra tweaking and extra parameters, you could get it to be a different size as long as the size you're aiming for is larger. Shrinking the Windows system partition is risky business. You don't want to have to do that. But expanding it is really not that bad. I just simply decided that because Macrame Reflect wanted to do it the same size when it cloned it, I would just do direct cloning, expand the Windows partition, and then start from the end of that partition, which
Right.
Macrame Reflect is smart enough to do with the other remaining small partitions. Windows, unfortunately, is making like about 6 partitions that are not the system partition. One of those is the recovery partition, but the others are mysterious to me. I think there's one that contains some utilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Bob. Very informative. Shall we go in a new direction? Anyone got some new questions for the group? Dennis, do you have something for us? Or Wayne? Wayne's shaking his head. No, he's got nothing for us.
Not now, not right now.
And Dennis here, you got nothing, no questions for us?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, all right. Um, we'll go on to our topics that I had sent out, but one of the things I wanted to touch on is Tim had sent out a notification to let everyone know that they should reboot their routers if they haven't. And he's going to tell us why we need to do this. Tim?
Gee, I forgot my name.
Yeah, I did forget your name for a moment there. I was thinking of Dennis all along.
At any rate, it's a recommendation by the NSA that also the FCC goes along with. And they think there's been a lot of hacking going on, possibly by Russia, or at least it looks that way. And they cannot, we don't think, burn the firmware of your individual router. However, what they can do is change values of your setup on the router in memory. So they can do a lot of mischievous things. And if you periodically, at least probably once a week, reboot your computer, then all that stuff that they managed to change in memory disappears, because when the router comes back up, it's only using what's in the firmware, and your settings changes, and you're back in normal business until they try and come back in and change memory values again, et cetera, et cetera. It's if you reschedule by powering down your router at least 30 seconds to a real minute, that clears out everything. And then when it boots back up, it's a fresh copy, and it's the best thing to do. For me, if I happen to have a good day where I'm going to go for a walk, I'm usually gone between an hour and a half. So I could, in my preparation to go for a walk, at the last minute, go in, turn off the router, and leave it sit there for until I get back home. Then plug it back in, and then as I clean up from the walk, because I sweat quite a bit, I'm fine, and everything's all set to go again. So that's the best way to do it.
Dennis has his hands up.
I didn't have a question until you remind me about Tim's email. So I did unplug my Astound router, and then I unplugged my. I currently have an Xfinity too. I'm switching over from Astound to Xfinity, so I have both routers currently. But it hit me today that when I did the Astound router, attached to that Astound router, they had to put in two Eero extender devices. And I'm wondering, hey, should I have done those two, or those are meaningless here?
What kind of changes, well, in the hardware that you brought up there, what are the differences?
Well, I mean, the Astound router is sending the signal to the Eero devices to push it to further reaches in the house.
Kind of like doing a mesh.
It doesn't matter. The ones that are being attacked is your frontline router, period.
Okay.
Not the mesh.
And that's what they're messing with. Generally, it wasn't mentioned about the Aero mesh type routers or repeaters and remote accesses as to whether they have been modified in some way also. It's not out of the question that they could do it. Once they've got into your router, they can do just about anything they want to on your network. They can try and break into any machine currently attached. And that's why, even though under Linux, you have to activate a firewall, under Windows, you at least have inbound firewall protection on the machine without any intervention. So they have to not only break the main router, they have to try and break into each individual machine as well through its defenses. And the access points, repeaters, etc., those are usually not attacked because they don't have regular settings like the main router does. They are kind of mirrors. They receive in on one channel frequency what your main router is transmitting, and then retransmit it on a different frequency to the rest of the house. And so it's a case where there's no settings within them to bother with. So it's really just the main router that's got to be rebooted periodically. And from the way it's sounding and the way things are going in this world, I would say a minimum of once a week, you might want to consider disconnecting the power from the router for up to a minute each time. You plug it back in, do something, go wash your hands, go to the bathroom, whatever you want to do. And because it takes 3 to 5 minutes for the router to get back up to full functionality.
Anyone want to
I do
comment on
mine at
this?
night.
There is a difference between rebooting and restarting. Restarting is not enough. Restart is what if you have the gateway, it's what your gateway does in the middle of the night every night. But that's just a restart. It remains plugged in, it remains powered on. So what you need to do is actually disconnect the power.
Yeah.
You have to simulate a power outage.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a power outage that you're creating. That takes all the stored electrical charge in capacitors inside the router and discharges them. It also clears out anything that's in memory. It's anything that's left there is garbage and ignored anyhow.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you have repurposed an old router as an access point, that would also need the same treatment.
That's a possibility. It's the access point isn't as big an issue usually because of a simple reason that it's not acting as a full router. But if you want to play safe, any access points, repeaters, and in the case of the type of router where it's a mesh type routing system where you have 2 to 4 devices to spread out the Wi-Fi signal throughout, say, a ranch size large house, then you might want to also power them off at the same time. You just start off with a main router and then go to each of the other access points, repeaters, or the mesh access points, and turn them off. And by the time you get done, you can go back to the main router, turn it on, and then go through that same pattern again, turning the other devices on. And within a matter of 3 to 5 minutes, you're fully back up and running again. So
Well, Dennis had asked that before. Dennis was saying, do I need to reboot my other devices? And you said not necessarily, but then now you're saying, yes, you should.
well,
Just a
no,
precaution.
Just
I'm
as a
saying
precaution.
it's normally not the case that you have to. If you feel threatened enough, then you would go ahead and do that. But generally, an access point or a repeater do not have the settings of the main router, and it's the main router that they're attacking. The other devices, they just listen and repeat the information onto the next node if there is another one in play. Usually a repeater is one device. You might also use an access point of an old router turned into an access point. It just acts as a repeater. That's why usually it's not a target by the bad people. There's no settings really in them. They just receive a signal and then they repeat it at a different frequency going out in the radius of their device. But if you feel like you need to think about turning them off too, so be it. It won't hurt a damn thing.
Yeah. The one thing that you really don't have control over is if they manage to get to your IoT devices and mess with that firmware. Then there's not much you as an individual can do.
No, and that's another reason why any IoT devices you have, it's best to have them hooked up to the guest account of the main router. This also includes your television set, say a refrigerator that has a display on it. Other utilities are smart devices. All smart devices should go to the guest account. That way they get to the internet, but at the same time, too, they are not a point of being able to break into your normal in-home network that your computers and smartphones, tablets are connected to.
And one last thing, those who are running Linux or who do run Linux from time to time, turn on the firewall.
Absolutely. Let's put it this way. Generally speaking, Linux it's a myth that it's more secure. That's not completely true. You have to understand there's a lot of settings that are not turned on in Linux to make it nice, simple, easy to get installed, up and running, kind of like Windows can be. And at the same time, too, most Windows users that have any intelligence on them, they go and make changes as soon as the setup is complete. You got to do that on Linux too. My machine where it's got my name in lowercase letters, Tim K, that's a Linux machine today, which I normally don't have running at the Windows meetings. And it happens to be a machine I've been working on that I upgraded from a Fedora 43 to a Fedora 44. That comes standard with SE security, which is high level security, but there's still things you might have to do and change within it. And I've got an article that I found on that as well.
I was just mentioning firewalls in general.
Okay, yeah. Dennis, you got your hands up?
I'm not at the Linux. Well, my Linux machine isn't on right now. I'm not at it. But what's the setting in the Mint for turning on this Linux firewall? I'm not sure if mine is on.
There's something in Linux called the Grand Unified Firewall, and you just using your search for your through your apps, just type in firewall,
Or
and
you
it will show it to you.
You can go to Linux Start button, settings, go to settings, go all the way, scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see firewall. click on that, put in your administrator password, and make sure it's turned on. If it's not turned on, click the on button. Inbound should be denied. Some say that outbound should also be denied. I don't know if that is absolutely true, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's called UFW, or uncomplicated firewall. And it is uncomplicated. It's just a single switch you're going to turn on.
As I use my Linux, just regular day-to-day usage, does that interfere? Do I have to shut that off to be able to do stuff on the machine, or it can always be on?
No, it should be practically transparent. Just
Yeah.
like the Windows firewall. You don't have to keep turning it on and off for 99% of what anybody would do with
Right.
Windows.
Some
Okay.
people, like gamers, they turn off anything and everything, and then they wonder why they may have problems. A firewall just passes through information or blocks stuff that it thinks is bad for you, and that's all it does. Therefore, it has a negligible effect on the operation of your computer. If it says it can't access a site, it's probably because it's blacklisted.
There can be ports which can be closed.
Yes.
Okay, and if you want to know more about Linux, come to the Linux SIG.
Right. Windows has the same thing with ports.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't want to chat more on Linux because this is not the Linux SIG.
No, we're talking about
keep us
Windows.
moving in the right direction. Any
Well,
new
for
questions?
tech,
Sorry. Also, in that NSA announcement, there was discussion about the routers that are going to be blacklisted. I believe TP-Link is one of the routers that are
it's
blacklisted.
a major one.
So
The absolute major one.
if you have a TP-Link router installed in your house, there is a list of TP-Link routers that are on this blacklist that you should take a look and see if yours is on it. If it is on there, you should probably go and get a replacement router to get rid of that particular unit, because those particularly have been targeted by the Russians, the bad actors, those particular models. And and if you have one, means a good chance you got infected already or hacked, and the potential is there. So don't take the risk for a $50, $70, $80 item.
But routers in general, because of the current ban, are expected to be rising quite a bit over the next couple years. And that's the bad part. It's going to cost you more for equipment that was cheap up to this point, and at the same time very insecure in some, not all, instances.
So where do I find the list?
It's in the article. Don, I don't know if you got the article or not.
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, it normally for CCS and probably some other groups too.
Well, I got something with the agenda, but I don't remember that I had a link to where
This went out yesterday.
Okay, hold on. Donna, are we talking about the TP-Link list or
Yes.
the black? Okay, all right. So let me just see if I can TP. There we go. Russian attack. It's the Russian GRUs exploiting vulnerable routers. Let me see if I could find.
I'll research it when I get home. I don't remember if we have a TP-Link router or I just have TP-Link for extenders at one time. I can't remember which is which now. I don't have extenders anymore, so I might not even have that. I got to go home and figure it out. Okay. I'll
Okay,
look it up.
all right. I mean, also you could do what I was doing, which is I was doing a Google search on which TP-Link routers are blacklisted. I didn't get to find the list. I had it once before in a previous article, and I'll keep looking for it. But it is out there. Blacklist.
One moment, please, while I put into chat a list.
You found it?
The AI found this list.
Thank you.
These are mostly older routers.
Let's see, vulnerable list. Yep. Oh, Linksys is in there too. Netgears, D-Links.
These are mostly older routers, older models.
Right.
It varies. A lot of the routers are older models that may or may not still be in use. But a lot of old routers end up on places like eBay and other places like that for sale. Some models can be taken and reprogrammed with OpenWRT to give them new life, but they will not expand into Wi-Fi 6 or 7. Those are, you have to have a modern router to expand into those areas. But if you're only using Wi-Fi at 5 megahertz, then you can get some of those routers. I know one offhand, Linksys, E is in Edward, A is in Adam, 8300. They can be had for under $35. You can reprogram them by downloading OpenWRT and flashing that software in there. But if you want or need 6 gigahertz compatibility, like Wi-Fi 6, 6E, and 7, that Open WRT software cannot create the hardware needed to support it in that old unit. So you're not.
Yeah, but those brand new ones that are 6 and 7s are really expensive, Tim. I mean, they're really very expensive routers.
They are.
Very high.
I got an upgrade through my ISP, and that's the only reason I could afford one.
It's not without merit what you're saying, because most of the high-end ones that cover 6 gigahertz are very expensive. They are handling 4 or 5 different transceivers, and another reason for a lot of antennas as well. So they all are evolving. And you have also the shortage of key component parts in computers. And really, a router is a small, limited computer that has a firmware in that's only changeable through proper burning and upgrading of it, that you can improve security flaws that are found. And the cheap stuff, well, usually you're lucky if you get updates on the cheap stuff up to 5 years. After 5 years, I don't think any of the manufacturers of routers and a lot of other equipment even bother having any updates to that hardware's firmware. And so you become more and more susceptible on that old hardware. But generally, for anybody, even with if you had to pay $200 to $300 for one of those high-end routers, from the date of manufacturer, you got maybe at most 5 years of updates to keep you reasonably secure. After that, it just sits there with whatever the last update was and may become vulnerable to attacks. And that's a little bit of what's causing this problem. But a lot of the manufacturers, they do little shortcuts and don't think any of the shortcuts they create are going to cause a vulnerability. TP-Link found out to the contrary.
Yes. Also, it's not just your router that needs to be able to do 6 gigahertz if you're going to do 6 gigahertz. You can only do it under Windows 11. And you need to make sure that your Wi-Fi card or dongle can also do 6 gigahertz.
That's
That's not
correct.
guaranteed.
And usually what I do with my older hardware, when I need to only, I change the Wi-Fi cards, and it's not a big deal for me. But that means you got to open up whatever the computer is, find the old card, make sure you get the right type of replacement that has what you want, and then change the antenna leads on there. And the M.2 Wi-Fi cards, the wires and connectors are really a pain in the butt to get on. The older style that's been obsolete for several years still are out there. They still work. They got some modern ones, at least, that cover Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, not 7. And those are very easy to clip the antenna leads back onto the new card.
Or you could go the simple route and just use a dongle to upgrade, a USB
Well,
dongle.
yeah, but you better have a lot of USB ports on your device, because there are a lot of laptops that only have 2 ports. And
Yeah,
if you
that's
got
true.
your dongle in one, that leaves you pretty restricted what you can do on that system.
On that kind of a laptop, I would invest in a hub or a dock. And it's not too difficult to take with you a hub.
That depends upon how many people out there with a laptop even know what the heck a dock is.
Well, even a hub that just has extra USB ports. It's practically mandatory anyway if you're going to have a laptop.
Right.
Well, especially on Apples, but that's another issue.
Because Apple, I think they only gave you one USB-C port, and it was it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was smart.
so you would have to get a dock.
Well,
You gotta
one
get it
thing
done.
you have to worry about in what he just brought up there is if you get the new Mac Neo laptop, because they're cheap, you got 2 USB ports right next to one another. Only one is high speed, and it's also a charging port at the same time, charging to give the battery inside the laptop a recharge. The other port is a USB 2 port. What's the difference? The high-speed port is only USB 3. That gives you about a maximum of 5 gigabits per second transfer speed. A USB 2 port has 400 and megabits per second, 480 megabits per second. And so it's very, very slow by any standards of modern equipment.
Yeah, and if you use a hub, you are dividing that throughput by the number of extra ports.
Yeah. That or a docking station if one becomes available. I don't think there's one available right now, but they just came out with information of an Apple Mini Neo computer that'll run an estimated $300, but it's based on the same principles as the laptop.
Okay,
Great. Good topic here. Does anyone else have questions about blacklisted routers? No. Okay. Last questions for the group. If not, I will pull up our topics that we could discuss for the evening. The first thing that I had put on there is under the subject of keeping up with tech. I wanted to demonstrate how to use iTunes for the purpose. The purpose here is, what do you do at your music collection, your CD collection? Vinyl would have to be discussed separately. But if you have your music collection, how do you move it up to put on your phone, to have it with you all the time? And what software would you use to do that? Now, I am familiar with iTunes for doing this because I'm in the Apple environment for my phone and specifically for my iPod, which is where I first started with this. So I could demonstrate how to do this. It's probably the easiest one to do ripping of your music collection and easiest one to put onto your phone. If you don't own an iPhone, you're going to have to find a different solution. You can still use iTunes to do it. It's just that it becomes a little cumbersome to get the music, the MP4s, MP3s out of iTunes and put them somewhere else. That's a whole nother topic for discussion. But iTunes does make this very easy. I would recommend that you go to Apple and download the iTunes program, which is free. You do have to have an account that you'll need to create with Apple at some point to be able to use the iTunes, because what it wants to do, and the account is free, it's just creating an account and a login. Once you do that for the iTunes account, you'll be able to so-called rip your music or convert it from CDs to MP3s. So the way to do this is, I will show you iTunes itself. Here is iTunes. Currently, I have it set up on my music. So music is up here in the upper left, and I could have it by artist, sort by artists, albums, songs, genres, or stuff that I've downloaded. So it doesn't matter where you have this on the left, but what you do want to do is have a CD player plugged into your computer, or have one that's built in. And I have one here. The moment I take a disc, here's a music CD, and I'm going to pop this into the player. And automatically, if you're connected up to the Wi-Fi, it will go out and get the track information, the album name, and the track information, and populate it on your screen. You can also tell it to go and get the CD information if you need to. Here I can go and tell it to do it again. This would be if you could see this top pop-up dialog box, it says CD lookup results, and it's showing me two entries for Who's Next, the Who, and I just choose one of them. And what you see in front of you on this screen is the track names, the time, the artist, blah, blah, blah. The check boxes on the left would be telling the software, go ahead and import those songs that I have checked. If you uncheck them, it will skip those songs. The next thing to do would be to set up your settings for the import. And that's done just by going import CD. You click on that. The next dialog box is going to say, what format do you want to use? What encoder? By default, it may have AAC, or it may use Apple's lossless encoder. I personally use MP3 because I like to standardize it. In an MP3 format, I could play it on any device. If it's in the Apple recording format, takes up less space, but it will be only playable on Apple devices. Now, the next thing is the quality. By default, it might have it set to 128 kilobits per channel. I like to go to a custom one, which is going to be the highest 320 kilobits per channel, or 320 kilobits total, which is 160 per channel. So I change this bit rate here to the highest setting. The lower the bit rate, the lower the quality. It also makes this file size much smaller. Depending upon what you're listening to and you're recording. If it's music, you usually would want the highest quality that recording capabilities. However, I also will convert my audiobooks to MP3s so that I could listen to those. My audiobooks, I don't need high quality for audiobooks. So those I generally would just choose the lowest quality setting. I would cancel out of this. And over here, I would just choose good quality for audio, for a audio book per se. But on music, I always use custom and I use the highest quality. I don't use variable bit rate. That's a personal preference. Some people do. I don't personally do that. And with that, I would then just go ahead and tell it to do it. And what the software is doing, it's reading the CD and it's going to encode it. And if you look at the top, it'll tell you that it's encoding and the progress and how fast it's going. Are there any questions? No, everyone's done this before. That's pretty cool.
No,
Dennis?
I honestly don't know what I just saw. So, in other words, you have physical CDs in your house.
Correct.
You're loading them up to the cloud in
No.
iTunes?
No, this is all local. Nothing is in the cloud. It's all being done locally on my laptop or to my computer, whatever computer you set this up on. So that computer, I would then sync my phone to my computer and it will move all that audio music to the phone. It'll copy it, but it's still going to maintain a library on my PC.
Okay, so iTunes is really just giving you free use of their program in order to do this, which really is not being played on iTunes or really doesn't involve iTunes in any way.
You can use iTunes as a player, a music player, and run it from your PC. You hook up your computer speakers to it. You could drive a stereo system with it. Again, you're making local copies of your licensed software or licensed audio music that you already own. And you're making a legal content copy that you can put onto your phone and listen to at any point in time.
So in your demonstration then, maybe I missed it, you're going to be just pointing to a folder that you want this MP3s copied to on your laptop or your computer. You're just going to point and say, put it in here.
Right.
Okay.
And it will put all them in that folder. Let's see if I can show you my.
Well, the ones you selected. Okay, got it.
Right, the songs you selected. Let me just kind of show you. Share in this. So I only brought in the one song here, and you see the green checkbox on there. That meant it imported that one song into my library. If I go up to File, Library, and Organize Library, let's see, no, that's not what I want to do. File, Library, You can export your library. But it generally will put all your music into a folder in iTunes. Once it's done, if you take your phone, connect it up to your computer, you can sync the two, so it'll copy all that music to your iPhone. You just want to make sure you have enough storage space on your phone to accommodate this. So if you have a very large collection, be forewarned, it will take up a large amount of space on there. I personally have a very large music collection. Let's see if I can go to and give you an idea how much songs. I think I have quite a few. There's a way to find out, and I don't remember how to find out how big my library is, but it's thousands of songs that I have on my library. But I just found this a very effective way of moving and storing, not storing, but moving your music collection forward to keeping it up with technology that you could be able to utilize and listen to this. You have it all on CDs, why not be able to put it onto your phone? Anyone else got a question on this subject? Does anyone know how they would do it on their vinyl collection?
I think the only way I remember hearing, and this was years back, you had to have a good turntable, and you would take the output, the equivalent of a speaker output cable, plug it into usually the line plug-in on the PC, and then you would have a program that would record the sound that it picked up and put it into a file format. And one of those is MP3.
Yeah,
and one of the programs that was always used for that was Audacity.
thank you. Has anyone here done that? Anyone?
We had a member years ago who used to do that a lot.
I mean, I think I've converted my vinyl collection over. I did that years ago, part of my mass conversion of technology when I was moving stuff forward. I did it to all my CDs. Most of my DVDs have been ripped and moved onto my server. And vinyl, the same thing. Vinyl just took a lot longer to do. So did VHS tapes. But this is a pretty fast process to do this to CDs. I found it very beneficial. Of course, I have my music collection with me the whole time, so I get to enjoy it. I did educate somebody else on doing this before. I have a friend in Colorado who never knew how to do this, showed him how to do this, and it didn't take him long. He was up and running. Very happy person to be able to have his whole music collection with him. Okay, that was the one thing I was going to demonstrate and discuss. The next thing, let's get this out of here, was Google Assistants. I don't know how many here actually use their voice assistants. Does anyone in the group utilize an Alexa device, use Siri on their phone? Okay, Wayne. Wayne, how are you using your devices?
Well, we have Alexa, but we use it basically just for asking questions. My wife uses it a lot for when she does crossword puzzles.
Okay.
And of course, it lets us know when my Amazon order comes in, and every once in a while, it'll let me know if there's bad weather or whatever.
Okay. Have you noticed any changes in the Alexa app over time? As I understand it, they've upgraded it with some AI on some of the devices, and so the interaction's been enhanced.
I haven't looked at the app in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's subject to which device you're using. If you're using the older devices versus a newer device, I think there's some hardware changes. I don't know. This is what I've just picked up from somebody else.
I noticed that I can actually attach some of my lighting controls to Alexa, but I haven't done that. It's
Okay. Does anyone use Siri or anything on their phone?
Well, we use Siri all the time
Okay.
for if we're looking for a location, so long as we can get the cellular signal up. We use the voice to check GPT on what to do in an area. So we use the voice with that to ask, or Perplexity, what are some highlights to see in an area?
Thank you. Donna, are you using the free version of ChatGPT or the purchase version?
All free.
Free.
Perplexity free, ChatGPT free. And those are the only two I really use. I don't go to Gemini or Claude, although, there's all kinds to use. I just haven't really spent the time with them.
Right. I mean, this is kind of all changed a lot with the AI coming in the picture versus in terms of assistance, because now it's become much more enhanced.
Well, my Amazon Prime Alexa is enhanced. As a Prime member, that's enhanced.
So that's what, Wayne, that's what I was trying to get, is Alexa's been enhanced.
okay.
Even Donna was saying that. Okay. So Donna uses it when she's traveling. Wayne uses it, his wife uses it for Scrabble and crossword puzzles. Anyone else use it? I mean, I have a friend that likes to use it for dictation. Very handy to use when you're driving and just dictate a message to somebody or have it read back. I've been noticing that when I have it synced up to my CarPlay and I'll get a text message with a picture, it'll describe the picture to me. Kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we kind of, is there some privacy issues? Dennis?
This may be off topic. It just hit me. I got an email a week or 2 weeks ago from Google. It claims it's from Google account teams. No reply -account at google.com. And it wants me to verify my age. And they just sent me another email about a week ago saying, we're reaching out to you because you recently they sent me a previous email about verifying my age to make sure I get age appropriate experience of my account. I looked into the first email where it says verify your age, and they were asking me to do one of four things. One of them was like show them a put in a picture of my driver's license or photo ID. Another was they wanted to take my picture and do something that where they take your picture and I guess with your camera and confirm that you look old and you're not 13. Another one was we're going to verify things you do online to see what kind of activity you had and see if we can confirm your age that way. That seemed to me the least intrusive. So I said, well, okay, fine, look at my online activity. and it came back and said, well, no, we can't find your any online activity to verify your age. So I'm wondering if this is all a scam, or what is all this? Is this part of the thing, we were talking about before, or about programs, and what is Google been doing this, or what's going on?
Yes, I've
No, my
mentioned
Google
at
hasn't.
previous meetings that flat out, every state practically and the federal government and many foreign countries are all doing some form of age verification. And now the state of Utah is attacking the use of VPNs by Utah residents.
It may depend on which state you live in, but I don't think Illinois has a law in place for age verification. In Massachusetts, I have not seen any such things from Google, and I
Well,
maintain Google
I
accounts.
did find this. They changed my account. My account changed. The settings of my account changed to safe search. So that's why I thought,
Oh,
well, it sounds legitimate now. So I tried to change it from safe search to regular. It wouldn't let me change it back.
your account's been hacked.
It's very possible.
Hmm.
You must have
Bottom line,
responded to You must have responded to a scam, and your account got hacked.
and Gmail accounts are very highly prized by the criminally minded turkeys that keep causing us migraine headaches.
Well, I never respond to anything, but
It doesn't matter.
if I
Uh,
have,
um,
what should
Age
I?
verification is here. There is bills in Illinois. I already know about that. I don't think they've been passed as yet, but age verification is going to be in so many of the states. Eventually, there may be a federal
Okay,
law.
so how can Dennis correct his problem if you guys think he's been hacked?
He may not be able to directly, and if he uses the bioface verification or a copy of his driver's license information, that's all personal information that can be used against him by the criminals.
Okay, we get that. The
Well,
question,
guess what? You can't talk to Google. You cannot talk to
how
Google
can
because the
he
people aren't there.
how can he get above this?
I don't think there's a good, easy answer to that. If you give up your personal information, it's on you if bad things happen.
If he went to okay, who owns YouTube?
Good old Google.
Good old Google. So if you go to Google,
By
if
the
you
way,
go to
it's on
YouTube,
my Chromebook. It's on my Chromebook, but
it's on your Chromebook. But if you go to YouTube, you create or log into your YouTube account, that will establish who you are through another way. Would that be the way that they will accept for verification on who he is?
Here's one thing that I remember in various articles. Everything depends upon what you look at. If you're an adult and you're playing a lot of low-end child type games and or videos like cartoons, etc., you could get mislabeled even if you're 70, 80, 90 years old. It doesn't matter. The bad part is once they've got a footprint of what you do, and the Chromebook is everything through Google.
Okay, so he's already the Chromebook is through Google, so he's got an account set up with them already, right?
Well,
I have a Gmail account. I don't think I have a Google account. I have a Gmail.
The
Gmail
Chromebook may be
is
set up.
Google, period. End of argument.
Okay, there is a verification. You can get another person, go into Google settings, and you can have another person accept your invite and they can verify who you are.
Ah,
And that's in settings, and that's something for when you're locked out. That's how you can get back into your account. So I would go in settings and you send them an invite. Call that person you're going to send it to. Tell them they've got to accept the invite, and then they can somehow help you get back in your account.
Generally, that's through a chat bot too, not a person.
No, it's an email to them that you send. It's an email sent from your account to that person. But I'm saying pick up the phone and call them and tell them it's coming and tell them to accept it to help you out. But that's the way to get back into your account and change the password or whatever you need to do.
Here's the key. If you've got any accounts right now, any accounts on the internet anywhere, you're okay, probably. When you create new installations of the operating system or an account at an online site, this is where they start nailing you for age verification because they don't want trouble with the government agencies that will fine them considerably. The bad part is only Colorado is looking at or has modified their age verification law to exclude a good portion of open source software. But everybody else has not. And some like Texas and I think Louisiana, to name two, virtually are banning open source software.
okay. All right, we need to go on to our next topic here. And my next question was for the group that has to do with where do you go for tech support other than just here? So does anyone use any particular vendor?
Perplexity.
Perplexity.
I really like their answers and they have references for it. So that's what I use.
Is that a software or a place?
No, it's AI.
It's
AI.
It's an AI.
But it's very, very they source all their information.
So it's a different AI software you're using?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, you can have it as an app. Like on my iPads and iPhone, it's an app.
And you
and
like
on my desktop, I go
Donna,
to
why do you like
.ai?
Why do you like Perplexity versus ChatGPT or something else?
It's more accurate. It's more accurate with references, and I use it to plan my entire trip down south.
Okay.
Including where Elks Clubs were, where we could stay, the pricing, how much miles, where to get gas. I laid out my whole itinerary with it to go south. So it worked really well for me.
Okay. All right. So that's one source that somebody uses for tech support. Someone else want to reflect in?
Yeah, I use YouTube.
YouTube. Well, YouTube's a great source.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the Chicago Computer Society has over 230 videos on, probably over 250 videos for help on that free YouTube site. Please go and visit one of our YouTube videos and give us a thumbs up. Does that sound like a commercial?
In open source, most of the OSs have user forums, which you can post problems or questions to and get back from the community their comments and possible solutions to your problem. But I don't think realistically Windows or Apple have something comparable. They have in Windows the feedback line. What they want you to do is go into that app. They want you to see if somebody's already posted your problem and gotten a possible solution to your problem. Only when all of your research into that problem has been exhausted, you post your problem with enough information so that people with real good deep knowledge of Windows can give you some reasonably good feedback and possible solution. And I don't remember what Apple had. I've been out of Apple for quite some time.
Hey,
Some people also use Reddit a lot, but Reddit, you can get a lot of misinformation out of it, or too convoluted solutions.
Mhm.
So Reddit is not always considered a good choice to go to, other than maybe a court of last resort. But
You know, I can pick up the phone and call Apple support and get an answer to any question.
this you can.
And that's wonderful. Apple truly supports their products.
And they don't charge you for that.
Nope, there's no charge, but you get a human being and they work with you. It's fantastic. Anyway, I love it.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, anyone else want to comment about where they go for tech support? Reddit.
as far as the last point that you had there, when you stop troubleshooting and replace, replace is not always an option because it depends on what the problem is to begin with. Is it hardware related? Then you might do a repair or a replacement. But if it's software, tough luck. You may
Yeah,
have
it's a hardware, especially today, with computers and hardware costing significantly more than it did a year ago. You have to think twice about it. Now, if you got stuck with a computer that can only be upgraded to Windows 10 and you can't get to 11, you have to look at alternative.
Well, there's a lot of a discussion about that, and there's a lot of people. We're talking several million people potentially that are still sitting on Windows 10. A good percentage of those are game players, and they don't want anything to do with 11 until they see something better come along. Only a modest percentage of people might be looking at changing to Linux as an alternative. Others are starting to look at Apple as an alternative because of the new low-end, low-cost machines they're now making. And it's got all the PC, laptop, and low-end computer manufacturers in a tizzy, trying to figure out how to match or best Apple. So that's another avenue.
Okay. The next thing that I have on our discussion is accessibility features that are built into Windows. So I will show you the screen on that. Nope, not that one. Here you go. So if you follow the accessibility, interesting that this is showing accessibility features for Windows 10. And if you look under vision and hearing and dexterity, you'll see a lot of stuff listed here. I'm not going to ponder on it. But if I go over to 11, whoa, what's this? Everything got smaller. The list go down? Some of it did. I think because they integrated Copilot in some of the things, so you may not need all the information. God, stupid pop-up boxes. Does anyone use the accessibility features built into Windows?
I do use a few, and also accessibilities are built into most of the OSs out there, whether it's Windows, Mac, or your Linux distributions.
Mhm.
But they vary in degrees as to what one is better than another. And generally, Windows is one of the top ones. Mac is probably very good as well. From the little bit I remember from years back when I had MacBook Pro. But generally speaking, I don't use the magnifier, but I have used large text. I have not used voice typing, um, probably in part because I don't want to use the microphone for that purpose. You have to be careful. You can use the AIs to do basically the same thing, but that's going to the cloud, and that means it's going outside of your control. Whereas this internal tool keeps it on your equipment.
Does anyone else use the accessibility features?
Oh, and I've done screen readers too. That's good during presentations like you're doing right there. What you were doing, a lot of times you can use the screen reader and make the text bigger and readable to everybody that's here at the Zoom meeting versus what we could see on the screen. We could see you had a document, but it wasn't really readable unless you got some unusually good vision. And that screen reader, it's built into many of the browsers, but not all of them. But some of the other browsers, you might be able to find extensions that can be added in to do the same equivalent screen reading.
Does anyone else use any of these accessibility features? Bert, didn't you used to use a lot of these?
Yes, I did, and still do. Obviously, the thing I work in Edge, so one of the things there is an option to do have the documents read to you. But I do find that sometimes, if you're reading from the beginning, it's fine. But if you want to start somewhere in the middle, it doesn't work so well. It tries to start at the beginning every time. So I'm a little frustrated by that.
Okay.
I think I mentioned in one of the other meetings that if I'm watching a video, that there's a feature to do online captioning as it's running. So, and that was Control Windows L, and then you get a line at the top that shows you what's being said in text while the video is running at the same time. I find that very useful. And you can zoom in, zoom out as you need.
Okay.
In Edge, there's many settings, so you can try and do that, including, there's clicking on the three dots. You can make it larger or smaller. So if there's something you want to copy and it's too big for the screen, you can zoom it down to a smaller size to make the copy. And I use the snipping tool all the time to do that. I did hear lately that there's more and more features in the snipping tool, but I haven't had a chance to investigate them all. So that's a place to pay attention to.
The snipping tool can take what looks like text, but it may actually be an image, and it can do OCR on it now.
Really?
I think you can record video also. So, there's a lot of features that they keep adding every month almost to the snipping tool. So depending on your needs, obviously being able to hear everybody and make it louder or softer based on your situation, you can use the keyboard to do that. and everybody has a different setup, so that's sometimes necessary. Does that help?
Yes, it does. All right, anyone else want to comment on using accessibility features? I mean, it's a good tool, especially if you have some vision issues. You can change the contrast behind stuff so it makes stuff easier to read, not just blow it up or make it larger.
There's another one too. I forgot to mention, actually two things because they're related. One is your mouse pointer. You can change the size of your mouse pointer. In some cases, you can also change the emblem from a point to something else. And you have about four options. One of them is a contrast where if you're on a light surface, the pointer is black. And if you go to a black surface, it turns white. But there's also an option for a color version that is excellent. There's also the vertical bar for where is my cursor, say in a text document, is because I'm trying to position that bar so I can delete a character or insert a new character, and you can change the size of that as well. But you have to be careful because some of that can drive you nuts.
You can change your cursor sort of has like trails, it'll instead of just staying solid.
Right.
Can you guys see my cursor? It should be
Yeah.
purple. Okay, and I have trails or tails.
Yeah, I can barely see it. It looks like a gnat.
Okay, it's a little bigger on mine. Now, I don't know if you'll see this, but I also have a setting on here. If I hit the control, it's
Yes.
like reverse
Yeah.
radar.
Yeah.
It shows me where my mouse pointer is at. So I don't know if you guys got to see that, but that's one of the settings you can do on there.
In Chromebooks, years back, but the feature disappeared. It used to be all you had to do is start moving your mouse around just a little bit, and it could have a red circle around where the cursor is at the center of the circle. That was a nice feature, and I really liked it. But man, that's a feature that just seems to have disappeared either because people weren't using it or didn't know about it.
Okay. We can go on to my next subject, which has to do with speed tests. Under the subject of how do you know if you get what you're paying for? So we're paying for service for speed for Wi-Fi service or for internet, but we don't know how fast we're actually getting. So I brought up a couple of different softwares or websites that you can get speed tests done. One is speedtest.net. And I'll just show these, but I don't know the merits of one from another. So I can't tell you, maybe somebody else may have some better insights. But if I do speedtest.net and I hit go, first thing it's going to do, it's going to do a ping. It's going to tell you how fast it is from it to ping a server. It said 13 milliseconds. My download speed is not what I'm paying for. I'm paying for gigabit and I'm only getting just under 600 megabits. Typical. This other service called Fast has another speed testing service that they're doing, and that looks 587. This is showing 520 megabits. And there's a third. Oh, let's see what Google Fiber. Here's Google speed test. Would anyone like to comment about these? Have you had any experiences using one versus another?
I've had some different speed tests and some that are the same as what you got listed. They all seem to be pretty much saying the same thing. However, I found out that some of the ISPs that you're getting service from may have a custom version of one of these speed tests. Now,
Yeah.
whether it's favoring that ISP's readings or it's giving you a more accurate reading, I have never figured out whether you're being duped or not with the custom ones. These are generic for anybody to use on their equipment.
My Xfinity account, when I go to my Xfinity app, it'll actually have a speed test. And of course, it's showing the speed up to the gateway.
Do you feel that it's as accurate or more accurate than, say, the speedtest.net?
I use speedtest.net on my laptop with a hardwire to it from the gateway, and it's pretty close.
So you think they're fairly comparable.
Yeah,
The difference is what activity is going on the internet, since the internet is like the old-fashioned telephone party line. Depends upon how many other people are active on your segment of the internet connectivity and what they are all doing, such as viewing, streaming, or downloading a lot of movies and other things like that. Because the speed of the internet is an absolute constant flux throughout the 24-hour period. There is no absolute dead speed unless you're within a few hundred yards of the actual server. Then it'll be pretty darn steady no matter what. Whereas that's very few percentage of the entire population that are that close to the servers. So you're going to have a spread out effect. You're going to have some latency and resistance in the transmission of the internet signal to your device. Something called jitter, which
Yeah.
may indicate that you may have a hardware problem as well, either at your location or out on the main line that you are connected to.
I find that on my phone through Wi-Fi is a lot less.
Yes,
Not what I get on my laptop where it's hardwired.
that's correct. This is another reason why, especially like Zoom and other video conferencing, it's always best to have Ethernet connectivity, not Wi-Fi, because it has too many sources of interference, and it's not a perfect circle radiating around the antenna. It fluctuates all the way around as to going in and out. That's why you see the bars of internet signal strength constantly varying up and down. And that's because of possible interference and the fact that Wi-Fi is not a perfect solution or substitute for Ethernet. But not everybody can handle wired
Yeah.
Ethernet.
If I test my phone different places in the house, it comes up different too.
That's correct, because it depends upon the broadcast strength and distance. 2.4 has up to 300 meters distance, whereas 5 gigahertz is about a little over a third the distance and has more things that can block and interfere with the signal at the router to your device. So you're constantly fighting, and that's why a lot of people go to mesh networks, access points, and repeaters in their homes so they can get a stronger signal where it's normally weaker in the home.
Well, you asked me about my Starlink, and I have to tell you, supposedly it slows down around this time of night in this area because everybody's on it. You know how they're home from work. But anyway, my iPad came out at 58.58 on the download under the speed test and 53 under fast. But my phone, I just did that, and my download, and this is still Starlink, was 103.4. So
Nice.
I mean, they're different. So, but I'm on Zoom, and so it's probably drawing anyway. They're just that's a significant difference on the
So
iPad.
you're getting
to the
over
phone.
100 megabit service on
Yeah.
Star?
On my
Wow.
phone. Isn't that interesting?
The thing with internet service, except for Ethernet connectivity, is how much of it in the Wi-Fi spectrum, like Starlink, and also like T-Mobile has the wireless internet access, is what is possibly interfering with the radio waves. Number two is how many people are doing what at certain times of the day. During the day, you may experience problems with businesses using up a lot of bandwidth on the internet, causing a degradation in the speed. But you also have to take into account your equipment, the age of the equipment. The newest stuff will have the best performance for a period of time, but may degrade as time passes by. And the older your equipment is, the worse performance you're going to get.
That may be the problem with Donna. Her iPad might be older than her phone. Because I had that problem. My old iPad didn't get near the speed that my latest iPad that I bought just a year ago.
Well, that's in part, like I say.
Oh, that's really true. This is my oldest iPad I'm on right now. My other one had to charge. So that's
Well,
right. I'm not using my new one, which has a really great screen. This is my old one. So
like
yeah, that could be it.
like I was mentioning at the beginning of the meeting, that I usually replace the Wi-Fi card in my devices. But when you get into like a tablet, most tablets are not that serviceable that you can open them up, replace that Wi-Fi card, and close it back up real easily. They're not made for that purpose. And so the end result is you are stuck with old hardware that cannot compete with the newer hardware that you might be able to buy at a Best Buy or a Micro Center or something like that, or Amazon, even as far as that goes, as long as you pick and choose what you're getting.
Okay, is there any last questions for the group for tonight? I'll stop the recording. And I will also let everyone.
Recording stopped.
In terms of the June meeting, I'll be traveling at a lot of